The next topic, Sunny, I'll come back to yourself. So the next topic covers the execution of incentive programs and how best to do so, I suppose. Vendor partner bases vary in size from, we see from tens of partners to thousands of partners, and from running a single incentive program to, having multiple programs at any one time. So again, I'd just kind of be interested in your experience, your thoughts, on what you've seen as best practice, what kind of recommendations you'd make for our audience on being successful in executing them. So, as Margaret talked about the strategy to develop those, now we're into the kind of execution, how do you operationally run those? So just, if you could share some ideas, Sunny, on how to achieve it, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's definitely so many things to consider when you're executing and making sure that there's an operational process that supports the execution of that incentive. And you want to also make sure that you have a way to measure the results, right? So that you can prove that the incentive is working and that it's being effective. And partner engagement has a lot to do with that. Like, is the partner really engaged? Do they know what you're offering? Do they know, the terms and conditions of that incentive? So you got to make it easy for them to access that information, right? A lot of times we think, oh, we send them a flyer via email and then you're done. But you got to remember, these partners are working with so many different vendors. So you got to make that information easily accessible to them repeatedly. And then the incentive has to really be easy to understand. It can't be complicated, right? They're dealing with so much, so it's got to be really easy to understand. And then can they also see how they're tracking, right? So especially if there's additional or multiple steps or multiple aspects of that incentive. So for instance, maybe you're incenting them for doing a initial meeting with that prospect. And then you're rewarding them for doing a proof of concept. And then you're rewarding them for doing a deal registration and then ultimately closing that opportunity. So along the way that, the partner company or even the rep at that partner company, they need to easily see and how they're tracking towards that incentive, I believe.
Yeah, you're basically nurturing them along the journey, but showing them where they are at every single point of that, and in some cases rewarding them for those steps to ultimately get to revenue. So yeah, I suppose, Sonny, one of the points you made there, and is, again, it might sound obvious, but a lot of people don't pay enough attention to it, I feel, is around the whole ease of doing business concept. Because if you take something, like a rebate, which is very applicable in the old world and definitely in the new world, I think it's really important that partners can see easily, take a quarterly incentive program, which most vendors will run. There's 13 weeks in a quarter. You need to be showing them each week of 13 at a minimum how they're tracking against their particular targets that you set them. So if you're going to set targets for a partner, it's no longer good enough to send an email and a spreadsheet. You've got to have something like a dashboard or a portal or some way for them to see how they're doing, keep their revenue updated, and even, you mentioned it there, Margaret, in terms of training. In a lot of rebates now we see, and certainly in the SaaS space, it's not just revenue, it's a combination of revenue and tier and training, and there's many moving parts. And if you think about, an average partner will work with between 7 and 12 vendors. The easier you make it for them to interact with you, the better chance you have of winning their end customers or their business. Okay, because ultimately those incentives do drive partners' behavior. Okay, so I don't know, Margaret, anything you'd like to add to that, or any thoughts on it?
Well, I think one of the additional points to make, just to add to what Sunny has said, is trying to motivate the partner and the partner reps to go to that dashboard and go to that portal to actually be motivated by what they're seeing. So that can sometimes be a challenge.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and you just made me think of another point. And it's not even just the external partners, it's actually having somewhere for your internal folks, your account managers, to look at, because they are your first point of contact. They're your shop window for you as a vendor to the partner community. So again, you have to help your own team do a better job, and not be looking at spreadsheets and emails and trying to pull information from multiple systems. The better job you do on executing your incentives, be it a spiff, be it a rebate, that your account managers can quickly put their finger on a page and say, they're talking to their account, how you do and what do you need to do. If you do another 5K, guess what? You cross the threshold and you get another %, etc. So,
Right.
it's empowering your account managers to do a better job, and I think that's a really important point.
I think also just keeping it simple for everybody to understand, whether it's the sales rep internally or the partner externally, just keeping it simple on how to achieve makes a world of difference.
Yeah, no, a good point. And again, it's another point that just jumped to my head when you said simple. I think timeliness is really important.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say, I know we work with one vendor, and I heard them saying so many times, we incentivize or we pay spiffs to our partners to do training or to register a deal or whatever it is. We need to literally be able to pay them within 1 hour of achieving their goal, or they forget what we were paying them for. So if you're going to pay people out at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, you might be paying out money that's not really having the impact you want, because they can't even remember what they're being paid for, especially when it comes to spiffs. Okay, it's different when it's rebates and you're paying the entity, that'll trickle out when it trickles out. But I think in the case of spiffs, be it points or dollars, you got to do it quickly or it doesn't get the same effect.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
super. Yeah.
And I think that's why, having a systematic dashboard, right, is really critical in what you just mentioned, right? And that way, not only the partner rep, but the channel manager, as they're engaged with that partner, they have something to look at together, right? Because they can see the progress of how they're earning, right? The partner is earning those incentives. And so it's always great to have that visual, and then they can see how quickly they're being paid as well. I think that's just another way to maintain their mind share on your company and your products.
Yeah, it definitely makes you really competitive in the partner space for sure if you can do that timely. And I think that dashboard as well, Sonny, to your point, it's both the internal and the external, and it must be the same thing. Okay, it's two different sides of the same coin, but it can't be different. It has to be the same source of truth, basically. Right. So because if a partner says, where's this invoice or where's this record, you've got to be looking at the same data. And again, that can be tough sometimes, but it's possible. Okay, super. Thanks very much. So I think we want to take another quick poll, Brenda, before I move to the next topic.
We do. Thank you, Kenneth. So this time around, we're going to look at participation in your incentive programs. So we're asking, what percentage of your channel partners participate in your incentive program? Would it be less than 25%, 25 to 49%, 50 to 75%, or more than 75%? And then obviously, of course, if you don't have any incentive programs. Okay, so results coming in. It's nice to see that quite a few have more than 75% of partners participating. So well done to those people.